Hello and welcome back to my garden. Today, I'm going to be doing a bunch of little things here around the garden that need to get done before the rain comes. And the first thing is I'm going to start taking plants off here, the back deck of the house, and taking it over to the greenhouse because the temperatures are cooling. More importantly, those nighttime temperatures are really getting lower, and many of these plants, they really don't enjoy the cooler weather. So if I can put them in the greenhouse now, before the first frost, I think I'll be ahead of the game, and it'll be that much less to do like the day before the first frost, because that's always the time when we look and we go, oh my God, we're gonna get a frost tonight, and then we're scrambling, we're running around, we're trying to put plants that need to be protected into protected spaces, whether it's inside of our houses or greenhouses. So I thought I'd start getting a jump start on that, because we're still probably a few weeks away, but like as I just mentioned a second ago, we are getting into the cooler temperatures. You can actually see I'm wearing a sweatshirt right now because it's not chilly, it's just cool. And this may wind up coming off later on as we do other projects around here in the garden. But let me stop prattling and let me show you the first plant we're taking out of here. My Maverick geraniums. These were beautiful this year. First time I ever grew geraniums, and they're absolutely spectacular. And I plan on growing a whole lot more in the future. This is Maverick coral geranium. This is actually a pelargonium. So the way I think of geraniums, and if you know better or if you have a different opinion, please leave those comments below, is you have real geraniums, which are cold hardy. From my understanding is they'll die back during the winter time, but then come back up in the springtime. And they're perennial and they'll live on and on, theoretically, for a long time. Pelargoniums, which are also called geraniums, I don't know why they are. Maybe it's a marketing thing. Either way, to me, in my opinion, they're more of an annual. So if this gets frosted, it's done. It's over. They will not tolerate a frost or a freeze. So my plan with these, since these are pelargoniums, is to move them into the greenhouse. They overwinter well there, and they do okay. Now just for you, if you're new to the channel, my greenhouse is not heated. So we'll see, but I've never had a frost inside the greenhouse. It gets cold in there. It absolutely gets cold in there, and it can even get below freezing, but I've never gotten a frost. So theoretically, maybe, possibly, hopefully, they will survive the winter in the greenhouse. And then my other part of the plan is, if that does happen, I'm going to take cuttings from these in the springtime and grow more of these. Right over here, I have a penstemon that I purchased this year, a flock of flamingos. I got it as a little thing. It actually has grown up quite nicely, beautiful, and it still has some flowers on it, which is awesome. So I'm going to leave this up here for now, and right next to it I have a pineapple sage, also doing quite well, and it has flowers on it, and it looks quite happy. I'm going to leave that alone for now. But at a later date, both these will be going into the greenhouse. I think the penstemon would do okay outside. It would obviously die back and I would cut it back, but since it's in a pot, I really don't want to take the chance. I have room in the greenhouse, I hope, for now. So I'll move that into the greenhouse along with the pineapple sage. The one salvia that I will not be, and it actually looks a little roughish right now, and I'm not sure why, maybe it is more cooler or colder temperature sensitive, is this hummingbird. It's a hummingbird forest fire salvia. So it's a small salvia. There's three plants here. I grew this from seed. It looks on the rough side, but I think it's okay. The soil here feels moistish, so it just may not be liking the cooler temperatures right now. So again, I'm gonna put it in the greenhouse. If it survives the winter, awesome. If it doesn't, then maybe I start it from seed again, or I try something else. And while I'm up here, there is another pineapple sage that I am going to put in the greenhouse as well. Right over here is a cutting of the pineapple sage. You can see it's still got a flower. It looks pretty good. I don't know why I've never put much research into pineapple sage, much reading into pineapple sage, but all my branches are these curvy, wonky looking branches. If you've grown pineapple sage and this is the way they all grow, then let me know in those comments below. Either way, I think this one's also going to go into the greenhouse. I think it'll be a little happier there, and it's just one less pot for me to move. The last plant I have that I've brought down from the back deck is an Aztec lily, and I purchased this at a plant show earlier in the year, plant sale I should say, earlier in the year, and it did not flower, but it's been putting out green leaves, so it's still alive, which is a good thing. I haven't managed to kill it. And it says it's good zone 7 to 8, but it's in a pot. So I'm thinking I'm going to bring it here in the greenhouse, let it stay in here over the winter, and life then should be good. I just have to find a spot for it. And right now, as you can see, the big geranium pots are kind of taking up quite a bit of room. But I think I can put it back here. Now, because these plants are in here, this obviously now means I need to start hand watering all this stuff in here, but I also have to be careful about watering. Last year I killed a bunch of Salvia Amistad cuttings that I had. Last year I overwatered. I was probably watering them maybe daily, if not every 2 to 3 days. That was obviously a bad thing. The soil never had a chance to dry out enough and it just sat there and not good. So this year I'm being much more cautious. There is one more thing I want to take care of in the back deck, so let's go do that now. This right here is the remnants of my moonflower. It does have some new growth on it. It does have some little bit of life left to it, but it's done flowering. It's just done. It's been done. It put on a good show for me this year. One of the things I'm slow to learn a lot of things. And I think if you've been watching the channel, you've figured this out. So moonflowers, they will climb their vine and they'll climb up whatever structure you put them on, and then they put a show up here. But meanwhile, down at the bottom of the pot, there's absolutely nothing going on. And I've made this mistake numerous times, and I think this is last year I'm going to make this mistake. So if I do plant moonflower next year, I'm definitely going to be planting some sort of maybe annual at the base of it, just so that there's something going on, or maybe even combine it with another vine that will flower more. So the moonflower can be flowering on top, then I'll have something growing that'll have its flowers open during the day and it'll look lovely, but at night I'll have the moonflowers opening up. But in the meantime, I'm going to clean this up. Just gonna cut it right back down to the base, and I'm gonna see if I can get these vines off here. I am gonna leave the pot up here for the winter time, and then come the springtime, I'll decide what I'm gonna do with or in the pot. I'm not sure yet. It's a very soft vine. You can see it's very flexible, which is neat. Now I could take the stakes out, put these away, and now this is one more project that's done that I don't have to worry about for the fall or the winter. Here we are in the, what remains of the no-cut flower garden. I still have, I don't know if it's in shot, but I still have one zinnia that has a few good flowers on it. That'll be gone by next week, especially with the cooler temperatures. The plant's pretty much done, but there are still a few bees and butterflies, moths, that kind of thing flying around, which do enjoy the zinnia, so that stays there. But the rest of the beds have been covered up with straw that I had left over from a bale that I'd gotten earlier in the year. But one of you left a comment making a very good point. And that was, be careful about putting down the hay thick, because rodents may wind up getting in there and making homes for the winter. This is true. I didn't think of this, but this is a valid point. But I have a little dog here someplace, and she loves to chase things. So I will be monitoring these rows. And if I do notice that there's any sort of a rodent infestation or rodents taking up home or making nests in the hay, and maybe Sophie doesn't notice them or something, then I'll address the problem at that point. But I don't think that's going to be the case, because Sophie and I are in here quite a bit, and Sophie again will hopefully notice them, find them, dig them, attack them, whatever. Even if she just barks at them, I'm okay with that, because at that point I can then take hopefully corrective action by shooing them out, maybe reducing the amount of straw that's on the ground, that kind of thing. I did put down the straw very heavily to help suppress the weeds, and I feel, or I hope, or I'm optimistic that by springtime most of this will be rotted away. Maybe. We're supposed to have it drier than normal winter, so that may prohibit the decomposition of the hay straw, but we'll see. We will see how things go. But at the moment, I'm not too worried about the rodents because of my rodent-seeking dog. Kind of. Maybe. Sometimes. Let me go show you what I did Saturday out in the flower garden. So last week, I did a video where I started cleaning up this section of the flower garden. I went through, removed a bunch of different weeds and started removing a lot of the gladiolus leaves. As you can see, I still have quite a few gladiolus leaves up, but over the next few weeks, they'll all start to die back and I'll have to clean them up when that happens. But what I did Saturday was I started cleaning out this whole section right here. The only thing I haven't removed from this area, which I still want to remove, is the canna. The canna has to get dug up, and that is going to be, just for this section alone, will probably be a 2 to 3 hour project. I may wind up doing a little video on it, but I'll be cutting these back soon and pulling them out. And I spoke with my wife. We do like the height. It gives a tropical feel, but as I've stated before, they grow outwards and they start bullying and becoming a thug to all the other plants around them. In fact, this clump right here is growing in between and through some boxwoods. So gotta go. What I'm going to do though is replant some of them inside some metal rings that I have left over from another project. And maybe my thinking is, hopefully, that will keep them contained into smaller clumps, which I'll dig up every 2 to 3 years, depending on how fast they fill up the ring, and then divide them, replant them, but this way it keeps them contained so we can still enjoy the height and the tropical feel, but they won't be taking over the whole garden. It's the theory. But we'll have to find out what happens next spring. So I don't know if you guys remember though, but right in here was all just grasses. There was a lot of grass and there was yarrow, which you wouldn't really know because the grasses were out of control. The yarrow that I had was a white yarrow, which spreads and getting into areas of the garden which I don't necessarily want them. So I went through the space, I did a lot of digging. I got a little 3-prong, 5-prong, I think it was 5-prong rake, and I just really dug into the soil and I found a lot of the yarrow root bases, as it were. So yeah, it looks like it's a regular root base, but from that it puts out a runner and then plants itself into another spot and then puts out a runner and then plants itself into another spot, so on and so forth. So what I did is try to find as many of those nodes, let's call them nodes, and dig them all up. So hopefully next year the yarrow won't come up as much. Yarrow, I'm guarantee you, is still in here someplace, somehow. I probably missed some. A little root piece stayed behind and will grow up next year. What am I going to plant in this space next year? No idea. Maybe something tall. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe more dahlias. Not sure yet. Yeah, no idea what I'm going to put in this space, but if you have any thoughts or opinions, feel free to leave them below. But this space is now cleared. And the best part about having something like this right now, something that's open like this, is it's a blank canvas. It's an opportunity for me to spend the winter to think about what I want to put here, to then purchase maybe seeds or a plant next year and then plant it in this space. So I'm really excited and looking forward to that. I did mention in a previous video that I had boxed up a bunch of gladiolus corms, and some of those corms actually came from these 2 clumps right here. So let me show you where we're going to plant them next spring. The area over here, I started to pull back the weed fabric, as you can see, and I was going to dig out a trench right here, plant those new gladiolus. What I like to do is just put down a few bags of compost. The soil is pretty good down to a couple of inches, but it's not great. So I'm going to add a few more bags of compost to the space. I'll put the pine bark over just to help maybe suppress the weeds, help with water retention, that kind of thing. And then I think this space will be great until next spring. Let's drop some bags of dirt. Forgot to bring a rake out, so I'm just going to take my foot here. I'm not worried about getting this too even or perfectly covering the area, because I'm going to come out and dig it all up next year. So, but hopefully over the course of the winter, this will break down a little bit more. The earthworms and other critters will circulate this through the existing ground soil, and next spring, the ground will be in that much better condition for when I go to plant the gladiolus. That's what I'm thinking. That's a little better. The other thing I did on Saturday was I finally dug up my pineapple lilies. I had three major clumps left in the garden. They're not deer resistant. My deer love eating them. Flower stalks, leaves, the whole 9 yards. And bless their little hearts, even after getting devoured by the deer every single time within a few days to a couple of weeks, they'll start to put out new leaves. The deer will then come by and proceed to eat them again. And I could put fences around them, but fences are ugly. And honestly, I should have dug them up years ago after I seen what the deer do to them. I think last year they weren't touched at all, so I got a beautiful display out of them, which was wonderful. But this year the deer continuously hit them. So I said, yeah, enough is enough. I'm digging them up. We're going to put them in pots. We'll put them on the back deck. We'll put them on the front deck. I'll find a home for them someplace. Maybe even give some away. So that's what I did. Many of them, like this is an older one. And I don't know if you guys can see, but see all the white right there? That's why they had babies attached to them. They just put out like a whole new cone right next to it. And then that breaks off and it just keeps going and sort of spreading out. I'm going to just brush these off, make sure there's no disease on them. The wounds here will dry up. They're very hardy here. And I'll put them into the greenhouse, into a cool, dark space like I did the gladiolus, and they will come back next spring. I didn't even take a count. I was just pulling them out of the ground as quickly as I could. In fact, there's probably some fire ants in here because one of them was in a fire ant pile. So let's see how many we got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 12, 15, 16, 17, 20, 21, 22, 23, 20, 24. So from 3 clumps, I got 24 pineapple lilies. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna put these in the garage for the winter time once they dry out a little bit more. And then come the springtime, I'll put them into pots. I don't know if I'm gonna keep all 24. I don't think I need all 24. But I'll put them in pots and I'll put them on the back deck away from the deer. I'll put them on the front deck away from the deer. And you know what I'm thinking? Maybe I'll even put a few pots here and around the in-ground flower beds. I think that'll be fun. Maybe a pot or 2 up here on the bench. Why not? They're all very small. They're not going to put on a lot of growth next year. If they do put up flower stalks, they'll be small. They're wonderful plants. If you guys watch Garden Answer, I know Laura plants a bunch of these. She has them. She really likes them. I wish I could remember the scientific name for them. I can't. It's driving me nuts now. I could look it up on my phone and cheat right now, but I won't. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Click that bell icon to be notified when I do post a new video. This way you don't miss out on whatever antics I'm doing around here in the garden. It's probably going to start raining soon. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. With all that being said, I'm going to put these in the greenhouse. I'll catch you next time.